Hello, welcome. Art of Sacred Embodiment, of course, with myself, Lotus. Happy to have you here. So before we dive in, I want to make an announcement. I have now started a Patreon page. So I invite you to check it out. I will put the link below. While I love doing the teachings here and just sharing information, we're going to do more direct experience exercises, processes. There's going to be more activations there. There's going to be taking certain topics that we're talking about here and deepening them into more details that and more nuances that, if you're resonating with this work, can support your journey. So this is partly why I've been excited about starting this. It's taken me a while to kind of like get settled in this new world, in this new life, to get that going. But now that it is, I'm going to have both free options and then the membership paid options. And there is an introductory video on the Patreon page that you can click onto and learn a little bit more. See if it resonates with you. If so, I would love to have you join me there. And more of the offerings are just gonna, I just loaded it today, so more is going to be streaming onto there. I'm actually going to put the embodied frequency videos on there as well, and there's going to be a lot of things that you can work with at your own pace, as well as we'll be doing some live groups and processes and classes and things like that. So very excited about it, and I love the deepening. That's kind of what I'm built for. So with that, love to have you there. Thank you for subscribing here, and thank you for comments. I really want to just say, I want to know your experiences as well, what you're experiencing in your awakening journey. And maybe over on the Patreon page, we'll have more opportunities to have a little bit more privacy to share these things. But I really want to know, inquiring minds want to know, what is your journey looking like? What is your experience? Because each of our experience helps to support everyone else's experience. So inquiring minds, I have a very inquiring mind. I would like to know that. Now, moving forward, I'm not really piggybacking on the last two videos, but kind of, sort of. So we worked with change, transition, and transformation, and then we worked with next leveling. So the next thing that I want to bring to our attention and shine a spotlight on is what I call sweet simplicity and fluid flow. The fluid flow happens when we begin to get into our natural flow and natural rhythm. Sacred flow, natural rhythm, right? And so I've talked about this before. I have a class on it in the library. The more that we're going through our stages and phases, the more we become acclimated to cycles of change and transformation. The more that we learn how to move through these transitional stages and learn how to integrate them, and we know how to call forth next leveling, this journey becomes one of greater simplicity. Now, that may seem a little counterintuitive because I share a lot of information and I share a lot of details because there are a lot of nuances, and the ascension and the awakening process is complex in and of itself. But once we get on our path, once we kind of find our path, right? And for me, I teach about the embodiment path through the lens of the sacred and divine feminine, through the lens of moving from the inside out and union, right? Divine union, which is unification with all of life. There's a lot of factors at play. And yet, the more that we're coming home to ourselves and really anchoring in our deeper intuitive knowing, our soul presence, connecting with divine source, learning how to ground and center, there is a way that it unfolds with simplicity. By choosing that which brings peace and joy and celebration, harmony, balance, and love. These are qualities that innately ground our energy in coherence and allow our energetics to expand so that we are accessing more of the 5D and our multi-dimensional experience. In the beginning of the journey, things are a little bit more rocky because a lot of it is new. And there are many more people awakening right now. It's like, it's booming. Collectively, we are going through transformations that are profound. And they look messy in the general public arena. And they are messy because, right, the chrysalis phase of that caterpillar, there's still a lot of maybe trying to destroy. If you go back into the next leveling, which expands on transformation and the transformation piece in the change, transition, and transformation, we talk about my mind just went blank. The imaginal cells in the caterpillar that actually are dormant and come online and begin to break that expression of that being down in order to transform into the butterfly. We're going through that collectively. And there are still many souls that are resisting, the new and holding on to the old. So it's messy in this initial process. It's the collective dark night of the soul. But yet there are many of us who have been doing this and who have been saying yes and are continuing to say yes and are recognizing the riches that are coming from this divine alignment. And simultaneously, there is a lot of distortion in the spiritual communities as well. Distortion doesn't have to be good or bad. They're going to be messy too. Things have to purify and clarify. And in my, in my perspective, all of it has its place if that is what a soul or an egoic construct is choosing. And yet, by beginning within and really being able to know thyself first and foremost, choosing that over the external experiences and things that seem exciting and cool, and yes, they are, and they're part of kind of blowing our minds, as I've talked about that before. But it's finding those things that really speak to you individually and staying in that lane, right? So for me, the threads have always been the divine feminine from the very get-go, even before my awakening. My inner knowing had everything to do with the sacred feminine and masculine and sacred and divine union. I would not have known what to call that. Sacred intimacy. All right. And as it evolved, then my galactic experiences came on. But from the very beginning, it's been very simple what my soul was guiding me for. So I haven't done a whole lot of experimentation and exploration in the many spiritual realms, because I innately just listened inwardly. So that's why I teach this, and that simplifies things so much. It's less confusing, and it stabilizes us as well in our own center and in our own truth, knowing our own truth and fortifying that truth and allowing that truth to evolve with our own evolution and expansion. And I was taught from the very beginning with my guru that the watch points were, am I becoming more loving and compassionate? Is my faith and trust in divine source growing more fully? Am I knowing my own intuition more deeply? And as long as those things were being answered yes, then I knew that what was calling my attention was resonating with me. And I can say that when I have taken a couple forays out into, more sort of intense, mind-blowing information, which was good for me, and at the same time, it didn't align and resonate with my core frequency, and I blew leaks in my energy field, which allowed in more distortion and more energetics that were not of the highest light and love. And I had to learn how to navigate that, right? I had to learn how to recognize that's what I did. We have a lot of information coming in now. People are waking up, and it can get very confusing, and we have a lot of teachers coming on, right? Myself included, many more people that are here with a blueprint to help support this process with their right aligned perspectives. But everybody's frequencies are going, and what they share and how they bring forth is going to very much depend on their internal frequency signature and landscape. What is it that I am feeding in myself, and how am I evolving, and what is my highest intention, and what am I connected to ultimately. Discernment is going to be really important, and that's going to come from knowing thyself. Discernment is not an easy thing if we don't know our truth and our frequency and know how to navigate from a place of coherence and peace. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But this is part of the process, right? Of then being able to move through your journey in a way that keeps it simple and yet expands and deepens. So even during this whole year that's been, pretty profound and complex in many ways, I was still able to move through with simplicity and always calling forth more simplicity. And knowing how to keep things in its right rhythm and flow, right? Natural flow, sacred rhythm comes from sacred grounding. I'm going to be doing more of these classes and breaking these things down on the Patreon page because I feel like they're really important, particularly if you're, just starting and you want that kind of container, or you've been around the block a little bit and you've kind of taken some rides that may not have really gotten you to true awakening and true transformation of your being. And so I want to support that. But it can be simple. The simplicity comes from within us. The simplicity comes from being able to be grounded. The simplicity comes from recognizing your own inner silence. And if we can't access our own inner silence and stillness, there's always going to be distortion. On some level, there's going to be static. Inner stillness, inner silence, that simplicity neutralizes the noise and helps our energy system purify and clear organically. It's like a maintenance process, meditation. But many of us don't actually know how to meditate without being guided or without something from the outside bringing us there. That's important perhaps in the beginning, but we're moving into maturation, which is mastery, which is knowing how to manage your energy, guide and master your energetics, because that is what empowers us, and that is part of the embodiment. And that's going to be something else we're going to be working with in a longer process on Patreon together, moving from guided into your own inner silence and stillness. Really excited about that next phase. And of course I'm going to still be here, but really excited about streamlining all of this in a way that you get your own direct experience from. Because that's where your wisdom comes from. That's where your learning comes from. That's where your embodiment comes from. And that's really my dedication and devotion to how I serve. So, so very much excited about that. Sweet simplicity, fluid flow. And I want you just to take a minute, right? Take a breath in, close your eyes. Take another breath in, drop down. And just say those words inwardly. Sweet simplicity. Natural flow. Just feel. See if you can sense a shift. This is truly how our journey matures in its evolution, is no matter how much transformation happens around us, we can return there. We can live from that growing still point, which takes time, right? It's not always, not saying there's perfect stillness, anything like that, or that there is a perfection, but there is a growing of that centering within us, a strengthening, and it just becomes more second nature. So this is where those last three videos are taking us, right? So this is a sequence, another sequence, so to speak. And it can be this simple. The phases and stages, I try to break everything down into maps and systems to keep it simple. And moving in greater coherence allows more harmony in all of our life. So I'm just going to end there. So, what is your experience? I would love to know in the comments of any of change, transition, transformation, next leveling. Do you experience the sweet simplicity, natural flow or fluid flow in your journey? How do you get there? If not, what feels like it keeps you from that? How many years are you into your journey? That's going to make a difference as well. So join me on Patreon, please. I would love that. And I'm going to put the link below for the intro video and the little welcome. Coming up, the only thing I've loaded so far is going to be the moon meditations coming up on June 11th. Is it the new moon or the full moon? I can't remember. So we've got both of those, new moon and full moon meditations, that will be every month. They will be pre-recorded for you. That membership tier is $8.88, and they usually are about an hour long. So we're going to start with that, and I'm going to be adding more, here in the next, few days. But I want to give you early invitation to hop on and be part of growing this community there. All right? All right. Many blessings. Much love. See you soon.